Hi, brothers and sisters in gaming. Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your host, Jonathan, here at QuickBird Gaming, and I thank you for tuning in for yet another video. I really do appreciate it. So, on today's episode of QuickBird News, we are covering all the news from 25 May on Sunday to 31 May on the following Saturday. And since we got some big stories to get into, I may as well get started. Okay, first up, it seems that the biggest story of the week, or at least the one I'm most inclined to talk about, is that Elden Ring Nightreign has landed, released on Thursday the 29th of May, and the reception has been somewhat more mixed than is typical for a FromSoft game, as shown in this article on Game Rant, which was published on Friday the 30th. Elden Ring Nightreign has mixed reviews on Steam, and you can scroll down this article and it talks a little bit about, the background of Elden Ring and so on. And then it says it was released on 29 May and in just one day already holds mixed reviews. Out of the 12,000 reviews it has at this time of writing, 4,000 are negative. I'll jump over to the Steam page in just a second. We'll get those numbers touched up. Showing clear dissatisfaction, complaints vary significantly, though a recurring one relates to the solo play aspect of Nightreign. Many feel that, considering how difficult the game's challenges are, it's very complicated to coordinate with random players without voice chat, because the game has no voice chat in-game. It is also, as the first complaint said, you can play with solo or you can play with 3 people. There's no duo option, which means you either have to have 2 friends that are playing at the same time or you have to queue with randoms. A third thing that is out there is there's no crossplay between Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, and that's a significant problem. And then it goes on down here and says other players complain about game feeling rushed, criticisms of classes unbalanced, along with the comments about it being too punishing, and then, of course, technical issues. So this second set of problems is kind of more typical, I think, of a new release, the problems they're having, some with technology, some with people who are, and they're trying to, people trying to work out the balance issues between the classes and so on. But the first ones are really kind of, they feel more like, from any other company, I would say they were a stumble from Software. They feel like an oversight. Now let me jump over to the Steam page, and this is as of Saturday evening at about 7 o'clock Pacific time. I'll just actually do a quick refresh. And we have mixed reviews, 68% at about 25,500 ratings. So about 2 out of 3 people are finding it positive, but you are still getting some negative reviews. And the first one I saw that's listed as most helpful says what I had just kind of covered a minute ago. This game needs a duos option, crossplay, and voice chat. In a multiplayer focused game, these things shouldn't have really been left out. And that is true. And none of these things are new. These are pretty standard multiplayer features. And one thinks that FromSoftware would have included them. Now, this has gone on to be one of the worst rated at release time FromSoftware games. If you don't know, FromSoftware is pretty well beloved. I guess you would say, the keeper of the Souls-like genre with the Dark Souls and Sekiro and Elden Ring and so on. They are really the ones that have shepherded this type of game forward and made it popular. And they have a pretty sterling reputation as a gaming company, especially at a time when a lot of gaming companies are falling on their face. So this has been kind of a shock to people. Now, naturally, the duos option, it kind of, the players themselves were not going to take this laying down. And I pop over to this PC Games In article, which was published today on the 31st, on Saturday. New Elden Ring Nightreign mod already adds a 2-player co-op to the game. And a very prolific FromSoftware modder out there who has done, and talk about some of their other mods they've done, and will now allow you to play as a 2-person team in Nightreign. Once again, validating my opinion that collectively modders are a good thing and are great for any games community, because they're filling in the gaps that they're filling in the gaps that the company has left, or they are fixing the bugs that the company has overlooked, or they are giving players the options they want in a game. I'm almost always going to be for the modding community. So in this case, this was a good thing. It says using UEs, sorry if I mispronounced that, mod in the RPG won't get you banned from playing Nightreign online either, because it prevents you from connecting to FromSoftware's matchmaking service and uses different save files, so keep that in mind. That means they may try to ban it at some point, but we'll see. They say that official two-player co-op in Nightreign is something From Software is looking into. To me, that's inadequate of a response. It should have been something included from the beginning. I used to play Lord of the Rings Online, an MMO that's been around since 2007. And 10 years ago, for like their 6-man raids, you could run it solo, duo, a trio, or all 6 people, and it would scale in difficulty. So there's really not much excuse for leaving this out. Anyway, this article mentions that UE's co-op mod is linked here. I will also link it in the description below here. Now, having said all this about Nightreign and some of the troubles it's running into, I know a lot of this stuff will be patched eventually, but it did feel kind of like a misstep out of the gate for From Software. This has absolutely not affected the game's popularity or how well it's doing. Hop over to SteamDB, and this again as of about 7 o'clock on Saturday night. The game is clocked in at 250,000 players, 300,000 peak, and you can see it really hasn't dipped that much, down to 150 and then 190, but it's been hitting 300,000 for a couple days. It's been getting played pretty consistently. Do I think this is going to be long-term egg on the face of From Software? No. I think in a few years they're going to drop their next game, which will be Elden Ring 2 or something to that effect, and it will probably run well and sell a bajillion copies again. So I don't expect this to shake faith in From Software as a company very much. Just had a few growing pains with this title though. So anyway, Nightreign is out, and if it's something you'd be interested in, go check it out. Next, we move away from Software, a studio that's doing relatively well, to a studio that's not doing so well, and this is over to EA. And this article from Eurogamer, published on Wednesday, May 28th, EA's Black Panther game reportedly canceled and studio closed, resulting in more layoffs. EA has reportedly canceled its single-player Black Panther game and closed the studio behind it, resulting in an unspecified number of layoffs. I later read it's about 75. So Cliffhanger Games, the studio owned by EA that was working on this project, has been shuttered. The project has been canceled, and we will not see a Black Panther game. Let's get that out of there. EA announced its Black Panther title back in 2023, confirming it would be handled by Cliffhanger Games. Described as a third-person title set in an expansive and reactive version of Wakanda, still in early development. Job listing in 2024 described it as an open-world game. So that's been canceled, and from what I read over here at this article on Games Radar, which was published on Friday, May 30th, this article and the next two were all from Friday. Canceled EA Black Panther game reportedly had its own version of Monolith's patented Nemesis system, which studio closures keep punting towards oblivion. So immediately after Warner Brothers, closed Monolith. People worried about losing the developers' patented Nemesis system for good. And I've covered this before, that after Warner Brothers shut down, people were worried that the Nemesis system was going to be vaulted, locked away somewhere, and would never see the light of day. I want to say the patent expires sometime in about 11 or 12 years. But who knows if it will get renewed. Hell, who even knows if Warner Brothers will still be in the video game industry, or any industry for that matter, since I don't think they're doing well on any front at the moment. Let's see. Bloomberg journalist Jason Schreier shares in a new report that those familiar say Black Panther would have pitted the Marvels would pit the Marvel heroes against each other in a bid to become the supernaturally powerful Black Panther. Control one of these characters, the rest would become their adversaries. And it says that this would have elaborated on the original Nemesis system too. Predicted, yammer. In addition to squabbling with each other, Black Panther's protagonist would have had to take on the humanoid Skrulls, a fleet of shape-shifting aliens who would have presented themselves as friends or held grudges against the player, like the Uruks in Shadows of Mordor and Shadows of War. So it would have been a reincarnation, but they flubbed it. Now, from what I've read elsewhere, the reason EA is given is kind of hinted that this game has been in production for several years, and they've got nothing playable. They've got nothing going on. Who knows how much money they've sunk into it. It has to be in the 8-figure range, and with nothing to show for it. And this is just going so well for people at EA right now, just across the board. This article from Level 80, morale at Electronic Arts is at an all-time low, Respawn developer says. First, there was the round of job cuts at BioWare. After the disappointing performance of Dragon Age, then 400 people lost their jobs in late April. Yeah, here is where it says, and now Black Panther is canceled, and developer Cliffhanger shut down, costing 75 jobs. So, few employees at EA want to talk about openly, but senior encounter designer at Respawn, Patrick Wren, confirming publicly that morale at EA is currently in the gutter, and he writes in his tweet here, on Wednesday, May 28th, morale has been at an all-time low. I can say that much. So even with NDAs, he was able to say that basically the employees at EA are wondering if they're going to even have a job when they show up for work tomorrow. This is some real shitty times to be at EA. Oh, but wait, it gets better. According to this article from VG247, EA, fresh from killing a big Marvel game, reassures fans it has 3 other Marvel projects it could still kill in the future. Good. I like the sarcasm in the headline now. In seriousness, EA has 3 other Marvel projects that they're working on, one of which was supposed to be released this year. It was called 1943 Rise of Hydra, which also would have featured Black Panther and a era-appropriate Captain America. It was supposed to release in Q4 of 2025. It's been pushed off to 2026. That could be good or bad. They also have a studio working on an Iron Man game. And then there's a third game that has been unrevealed. I guess a fourth one if you count Black Panther. And let's see. Does it say the name of the studio for the Iron Man game? I can't remember. It doesn't seem to say. And they Motive Studios. Yeah, there we go. Upcoming Iron Man at Motive Studios. The problem is that EA has been on such a roll recently when it comes to shutting down game. It's hard to get overly excited about games we've not seen much of. Can't argue. That's exactly the point. And like this guy the author ends this article, you want to reassure that people that EA are still making games, try releasing one. Yeah. Now, I go back to the original article I started with, this Eurogamer article. EA CEO Andrew Wilson's comments last year, a publisher would be moving away from future licensed IP. They want to focus on their own franchises, specifically Battlefield, The Sims, Skate, and Apex Legends, in addition to BioWare's next Mass Effect. All I can say is I think EA is lucky they're still releasing sports games and people are still buying them, or I think they would be in a world of hurt right now. Now, I just stumbled onto this article, and to me, this is really kind of weird. This is from Insider Gaming from Wednesday, May 28th. Mindseye developer CEO says people were paid to be negative towards the game. Build a Rocket Boy co-CEO Mark Gerhardt believes that everyone saying negative things about the studio's upcoming game, Mindseye, are being paid to do so. In messages posted on the game's Discord server, hat tip to Eurogamer for spotting it, Gerhardt was asked if he thought all the people who reacted negatively were financed by someone. To that he said 100%. He then doubled down when someone in the server questioned his claims with an answer of, not wild when it's true, also saying it doesn't take much to guess who. With the server seeing questions and concerns about this claim, justifiably, people are asking him, really? He posted a longer message on the matter. I just said that there is a concerted effort by some people that don't want to see Leslie or Build a Rocket Boy be successful, that are making a concerted effort to trash the game and the studio. It's pretty easy to see the bots and the repeated replies to any content we put out. Gerhardt didn't give any more context as to what company he believes is behind this. With the game's director being former Rockstar North president Leslie Benzies, it appears as though Gerhardt is insinuating that Rockstar is behind it all. However, this was not explicitly said in the messages. This is some real kind of, unless this guy has more that he's not sharing in the public space, this is some real Illuminati, tinfoil hat, conspiracy type of bullshit. If people are reacting negatively to the game, it may be just because they don't like the game. Now, I don't know much about Mindseye. From what I can tell, it looks like some kind of crossbreed between GTA, Watch Dogs, and Cyberpunk 2077. I've seen somebody describe it as more like Mafia's Definitive Edition, with a 20-hour type, more linear and less open-world gameplay. That I also understand it's not going to be priced like a $70 or $80 AAA game, so it'll be priced, at a lesser dollar point. But still, from what I have seen about the game's, first impressions, there's no real consensus out there among the gamer community. Some people say it looks good. Some people say it looks clunky and awkward and just kind of vanilla. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is for this guy to claim this, for Gerhardt to claim that there is a concerted effort, he doesn't seem to be backing it up with much other than his own paranoia. If he's got more, he can share it. But, maybe people just don't like your game. And to me, if I had to take away one thing from reading this article and kind of assessing the situation, it sounds to me like the excuses are being prepared in advance for what we're going to see. And I'll just leave it at that. But I guess we'll see what we see. Here we go. I knew this was coming. I knew this was going to happen. This article comes from IGN from Friday, May 30th. Activision quietly forced adverts into Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Warzone loadouts, and players absolutely hate it. I knew it. These companies, these AAA companies, these useless mother... With the launch of Call of Duty Season 4, Activision quietly put adverts inside loadouts for Black Ops and Warzone, sparking a backlash. In the process, these are unavoidable for... adverts for weapon bonuses can be seen in the build and weapons menu, and they're unavoidable as players tinker with the loadouts. Here's some screenshots from Reddit. Really, I have to see this shit even in the loadouts? It's showing the bundle availability. Did they seriously add bundle ads to the weapon selection menu? Season 4 brings a new ad spot in the game for weapons. Elsewhere, Activision has added bundle and battle pass advertisement to the events tab, because nothing says festive events like spend more money on our crap. Another controversial change that caused complaints. Don't miss the opportunity to buy skins event. Touché. Here is a snippet of the response sourced from across Call of Duty subreddits, discords, and social media. Now just listen to some of these reactions. I wouldn't even be mad if this was just Warzone, a free game, but putting it in a pay-to-play premium title with how expensive they're getting, F off. This game is still 80 euros. I get that they make the most of their money from the store, but I feel the bare minimum for a premium product would be to not have ads clogging up the menus, right? Exactly. If you pay $70 or $80 or equivalent for a premium AAA title, the bare minimum, the basement, bottom of the barrel expectation should be not to have to look at ads while you're playing. At this point, it really feels like opening up a mobile game. Anyone who wanted this bundle would have checked it at the store and bought it. Putting it here isn't going to make more people buy it. It's just annoying. And this last one is kind of the kicker. Just wait until they add pop-up ads for bundles while you are playing the game. Now, I have long expected this of AAA studios, and I figured it was going to be EA or Activision, or one of the big ones that first implemented in-game ads. This is really, really pathetic behavior, quite honestly. And, and they talk about this. And it says, IGN has asked Activision for a comment. What are they going to say? What can they say? We want even more money, is what they're going to say. And I am steadfast in the belief when it comes to this type of issue, when it comes to consumers getting what they want, you have to support the behavior you want more of and not support financially or socially the behavior you want less of. As long as people continue to play Call of Duty and buy these bundles, Activision is going to continue to do this. So if there's a takeaway from this, my plea to all of you would be to not support this kind of behavior. Look to the games like Sandfall's Clair Obscur. Look to Split Fiction. Look to the Balatro Schedule 1. Games I've talked about in the past. Look to smaller studio or independent games that are not trying to wreck you financially and support them. If you do, we will get more of it. Otherwise, you're getting more of this. Sometimes companies can't win for losing, such as the case of this Dual Shockers article published on Thursday, 29 May. Capcom update kills multiplayer in popular co-op game. But popular might be a stretch. Anyone who's gaming on PC for long enough has some rough memories of games for Windows Live, and now it's back from the dead to cause new issues for some Capcom games. Back in 2021, Capcom removed several of its games that used GFWL for sale on Steam. Okay, Not every game that used the service was taken down, and some, like Resident Evil 5, were updated to use Valve's Steamworks system, but the others listed above remained unavailable for purchase, including the second Lost Planet game. They said that aside from they've largely been replaced, received updates to finally remove GFWL, but for Lost Planet 2 specifically, the removal has caused some extra issues, essentially making the game unplayable. And not only have existing player save files been rendered inaccessible, but the game's online functionality has been completely removed. Lost Planet 2 is primarily a co-op game. Being 15 years old at this point, the game's player base the game's player base at this point, editors, do your job, is small but loyal, and this update 4 years after the game was taken off the store to deal with games for Windows Live has obviously not gone over well, as one commenter on Reddit writes. They got rid of the online functionality in a game that is intended to be played in online co-op. So, in other words, this is just kind of a bungle. Hopefully Capcom will get this fixed. But it just goes to show you, man, that even in a game that's years old, it's been taken off Steam and nobody else can buy it, but the small but loyal player base, as they described, you still find ways to get your game screwed up. Not you. Capcom does. All right, I think we've covered enough bad news. Let's turn to some more fun topics, as in this article from PC Gamer from Friday, May 30th. After 11 grueling days and the death of Super Earth's president, Helldivers 2 players have succeeded in turning the Illuminati to calamari and protecting democracy. With 2 cities remaining, Helldivers have held the line. If you're unfamiliar with Helldivers 2, it's a co-op shooting game, kind of a player's co-op versus environment, fighting the alien hordes, very reminiscent of kind of a Starship Troopers-esque theme to it. And 11 days ago or 12 days ago, they had an invasion. The aliens invaded Earth. Several of the remaining megacities were destroyed or overrun, but the players have held the line. I like these kind of events. It's always kind of fun to rally people into a large event like this in a multiplayer game. That's kind of what makes them fun to me. There's an ongoing objective, and players can always pitch in and work where they can help and make things happen. And this is going to be tough for Arrowhead Studios. They've kind of set a real high bar for their events now. And so moving on from here, they're going to have to really think about what's going to make things interesting. It's going to be tough to measure up to success with this one. But a cool event, and the players won. And I think, aside from some things that happened, there was a little bit of friction because one of the cities, they could only get to 99% and a fraction of being held clear of the enemy, and people were upset they couldn't get to 100, but I think it was just the way the mechanics of the event worked because it was still being invaded. Even so, with that, I think this event was a good success for them, and I hope they have more of them, because as players need some successes. We need some success stories with our games. So if we keep the good news train rolling, this article from Insider Gaming, which was published on Saturday, 31 May, Assassin's Creed statue makers hint at Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake. Artists at Pure Arts have hinted that there's something going on with Edward as Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake rumors continue to swirl. Now, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I think it's the fourth one, is, I think, pretty widely considered to be one of, if not the best Assassin's Creed game. I think it's really high on a lot of people's lists when ranking them. And people talk about what the best AC game was. Black Flag is usually in the conversation. So the fact that there have been a lot of rumors about Ubisoft remaking or remastering this game has been on people's, been a subject of conversation for a long time. And now you have this teaser. They said the tease came during a recent Pure Arts live stream where one of the hosts seemingly got confused between what has officially been said and what hasn't. AC fans out there, you should be aware that there is something going on with Edward, where the other host then announced, the other host interrupted and said, wait, has that been announced? First one says, I think so. I'm pretty sure I saw rumors about it. He later said, so there's going to be something going on with Edward, and our small-scale statue will reflect that accordingly. And then there's the link to the video where you can see that. So, but makes you wonder if there's something going on behind the scenes. And a lot of people are speculating that a Black Flag remake is going to be announced at the Summer Games Festival on June 6th. So in about next week, I'm going to try and react to that when it comes out, and maybe we'll see some AC news then. Then we have this article from IGN, published on Wednesday the 28th of May. Death Stranding is getting an anime adaptation, Hideo Kojima says. And it says, looks like Death Stranding isn't only heading to live action, but anime as well. Speaking to Vogue Japan, Kojima mentioned his current collaboration with A24 on live-action Death Stranding film adaptation, but closed off with a little extra note about anime in the works. And he goes through here and says, I'm working on A24, da-da-da-da-da. At the very end, in fact, we are also currently working on an anime adaptation. So, more Death Stranding is coming out there. Let's say they confirmed in 2023 that they were collaborating with A24 and its director for a live-action movie. And basically, Kojima has flat out said he doesn't plan on following the storyline. He wants to create a whole cinematic universe, for whatever that's worth. Earlier this day, A Quiet Place Day 1 director Michael Sarnowski reportedly signed on to write and direct the Death Stranding adaptation. Star Norman Reedus had said he would, of course, play himself in the movie if it was an option. Now, video game adaptations have a kind of a checkered history. We'll see what happens with Kojima at the helm. It'll probably be cinematic. Will it be comprehensible? To be determined. I'll wrap up with this kind of fun story from Eurogamer. It was also published on Wednesday, the 28th of May. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 reaches a fitting sales milestone that they say that they couldn't make up. And it says, it's now sold 3.3 million copies since its release last month on the first day, 500,000, within 3 days, 1 million. Now, 33 days after its release, the game has reached 3.3 million sales across PC and console. And you can come down here. This is from their official tweet. 33 days ago, we released Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Since then, we've sold 3.3 million copies. And whoops, I just opened up the tweet itself. Another entry. Okay, and the long list of surreal moments that your support has made real, thank you all. Expedition 33 has gotten a lot of great buzz. I really can't wait to play it. I want to. It's one of the few games that has come out that makes me want to play it as a recent release. I'm in the process of building my new gaming computer. I'm running on like a 10-year-old rig now, and I can't really play it on that. So I've been holding off. Hopefully, new video cards are supposed to come this week. So I'm be ready. Shortly after that, I'll be ready to give this a shot. But really, seriously, all the congratulations to this team, to a small team that has put this together and found this kind of great success. A game that is very possibly going to be Game of the Year later on this year. I'm really, these kind of things make me really happy that a independent studio can put together a game of this magnitude that's so widely liked and is doing so well for them financially. It really gives me hope for the industry. But anyway, so that's where we're going to leave off today with Expedition 33 and their 3.3 million copies on day 33. As the saying goes, you can't make this shit up. All right, like I said, I'm going to leave it there for the day. We're going to wrap this one up. So the good news and the bad news. We got plenty of both. As always, if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Drop a like on the video, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the coverage. Am I missing some big stories, or am I talking about some stories too much? I appreciate all that kind of feedback, and I appreciate all the engagement you all give me, even if it's just watching here and there. And if you duck out after a few seconds because it's not for you, that's okay. But for those of you who stick through to the end of the videos, I love you all. Thank you so much for your help. I am going to shuffle off and do some other stuff now. Thank you once again for watching. Y'all, go out there, live your best lives. And even if Activision tries to screw you over, y'all stay gaming.